French-Canadian Stephen Woodward was born in Montreal. He stumbled upon his craft in Italy and France, and his sculptures are often political and social observations, with the narrative gently veiled by seductive form and surface.
I was always interested in doing sculpture, doing shapes and stuff like that. I wasn't very academic, so making things was more interesting. But not in the sense, I didn't have any ambition to be a sculptor. So when I ended up at Sim Ghilardini's place, I started doing my own work. So I did that kind of stuff, and I started making first things there, you know, some free time in the kiln. We're doing wood-fired ceramics. I said, oh, this is great. And in fact, it's probably the one that started that piece over there with the head sticking out. There is no one message, and I don't really see myself as trying to send a message. I try to express some of my concerns, obviously. Some of them will be, you know, detached and purely formal. And some of my preoccupations will be social. I think a notion of beauty is important to me, and I think that comes from inheriting some of the influence of the Italian approach. Beauty becomes a very important part of everything, even if it's a really grotty subject. I don't believe in making a big statement. I don't believe I have a statement to make. I'm maybe more of an observer. And I do realize that my work is very material-based, and there's a seduction value in material, especially stone, and bronze to a certain effect, and metals and so on. So I think the first time someone comes to a work, they will be seduced by the material, and I work the material quite proficiently. I'm quite good at what I do.
Gallery owner Deborah White has exhibited Stephen's work in her Whitespace Gallery in Auckland for a number of years.
Steve first approached me about representing him about 5 years ago, and we looked at ways we could get his profile, his exhibiting profile, back on track again. I think a lot of his work looks deceptively simple, and then when they realise exactly what's gone on to actually create that work, they're usually quite astonished. I think he has a unique way of communicating the messages through his sculpture, demonstrating a really strong social conscience, which I really like about his work. Yeah, I think Steve's an incredibly talented sculptor. He's one of the few sculptors working in New Zealand who really understands the material that he uses. His stone carving is stone and marble carving and bronze casting are of an international standard, and I think that's demonstrated by the amount of international commissions that he does. I think he has a unique way of communicating the messages through his sculpture, and they're always quite poignant and demonstrating a really strong social conscience, which I really like about his work. Yeah.
James Wallace, founder of the James Wallace Arts Trust, has one of the more important collections of contemporary art in New Zealand and has been collecting Stephen's work for over a decade.
I think probably about 18 years ago I had collected quite a few works in my own name. So at that time I decided to set up a charitable trust to transfer those works into that trust. And then from then on to buy works in the name of the trust. I think he's always been extremely imaginative, and that combined with great skills as a sculptor, mechanical skills, means that the work is particularly impressive. We're now about to have another piece of my man here, so he's doing the foot at the moment.
This idea of a Medici kind of fellow, he took on that kind of role, so I thought I was going to make a tall figure who was collapsed for whatever reason in the past. So it becomes great mysteries. Who was this figure? Maybe it fell over in a volcanic eruption. Maybe it was a creature of flesh that died there, and these vestiges are found scattered around this site. So all these parts are different sections, all to scale, of this, I think it's 9-meter tall figure.
Energy and skill, I mean, to get a 10-ton block of travertine marble in Iran and transport it back to New Zealand for one part of my man sculpture, and the logistics were enormous. But there it is, looking great.
Stephen collaborated with landscape designer Ted Smythe to bring the design of the Southern Cross to life in Auckland.
He was commissioned to do the landscape design for Basque Park, and he had designed this fountain, this central circle in the place, and he said, I want to do 5 boulders represent the Southern Cross, and I would like you to work them freely. And the only brief he said, there's got to be some of your intervention and some rawness or some natural stuff.
Well, we're all artists in different ways, and I've got a lot of admiration for Steve and his dedication to what he does. I just happen to like Steve as a person and also respect him for his work.
It is a pleasure to work with Steve, and I admire his tenacity and his talent, and it's great. Steve's always a very entertaining person to work with. He has an absolute commitment to his art.